Our next guest, Jeff Fletcher. He is a writer for the Orange County Register covering the Angels. And his new book, Showtime, is the inside story of Shohei Ohtani and the greatest baseball season ever played. It hits bookshelves and available online beginning July 12th. Before we bring Jeff in, let me just bring back one of my favorite sounds. It's Ohtani from Friday night.
Hammered! Destroyed that baseball! Stare it down!
It's different. It's different. Jeff Fletcher joins us. Have you heard a ball leave a bat like that before?
Well, Ohtani's hit a couple like that before. So
another player.
Mike Trout has hit a couple like that too. But
okay.
For the most part, not a lot of times.
I had mentioned the other time I heard something different, Jock Peterson, when he came up for the Dodgers. And he hit a couple of home runs where it just sounded different. What is it with Ohtani with that power?
Well, he's got just kind of a God-given ability to put the right torque on his body, for lack of a better word, to where he gets, the bat stays back and it just flips through really quickly. And if you get it at the right path, then it puts backspin on the ball, and that just makes it go a really long way.
If you look at his pitching and his hitting, are they similar in talent?
I think his pitching is better. He's really never had a bad stretch as a pitcher. He's had like one bad start here and there. This year was the first year he ever had two bad starts in a row. So the pitching, the only problem has been injury. Hitting, he does have, every once in a while he'll have a bad month. He'll strike out too much. He'll, swing at pitches out of the zone. He'll get a little pull happy and ground out too much. And then, he corrects it, and it kind of goes back and forth, which is like a lot of hitters, but pitching wise, he's much more consistent.
I just wonder, are the Angels the right team for him? Are the Angels the right team for Ohtani for baseball as well? Because we've seen Mike Trout and we've seen 3 playoff games. And I would love that he stayed with the Angels, but I don't know if they're any better than they were, how many years ago?
Yeah, that's certainly a fair question. The Angels are not a great baseball team right now. They have not been since either of those guys have been there, save for one season. And obviously it's better for baseball if those guys are in the postseason. But, it happens. Tony Gwynn had a long career where he didn't do much in the postseason. Ken Griffey Jr., we didn't see too much in the postseason. So, it just happens in sports, and it's hard to manipulate it to where you say, I want this guy to be in this organization, so we see him in the postseason. And I'm sure Major League Baseball would love to do that, but, this is what we have.
But is he loyal to them that, like, at some point you see Damian Lillard in Portland, like, you got to look around and go, what am I doing here? Ohtani hasn't, he's still young, but I don't know if he looks around and says to Mike Trout, what am I doing here?
Yeah, obviously Ohtani is pretty closed off with the media about what he really feels, and all we know is that he likes Anaheim. He likes the people around him, and when he picked the Angels, they weren't a great team. So obviously, when he first came to the United States, if going to the World Series was objective number one, he never would have picked the Angels in the first place. I think he likes it in the atmosphere. He likes the people that are around him, and I think that still counts. And I think if the Angels give him a ton of money, that's certainly not going to hurt. Look recently at Manny Machado and Bryce Harper. They signed with teams that had not exactly been having parades year in and year out because they liked the atmosphere and they got a lot of money. So I think it's still possible that is what happens with Ohtani.
All right, let's go to the brawl, the melee, Donnybrook. Give me the backstory on this, because it's rare when you just have something of this magnitude that's based off what happens in the moment.
Yeah, there's definite backstory. Mike Trout, first of all, has killed the Mariners for his entire career. 53 homers against the Mariners, his most against any team, the most homers any player hit against the Mariners. He's hit more homers in Seattle than any active visiting player has hit in any ballpark where he's been a visitor. Last weekend, they played a 5-game series in Seattle, which had a makeup from the lockout, and he hit 5 homers in the series. He killed them. All 4 of them were game-winning homers. And one of those, Scott Service basically got killed in the media because he didn't intentionally walk him. It was an extra innings. They pitched to him. He hit a homer. Obviously doesn't look very good. So now you fast forward to Saturday. Trout comes up as the tying run in the 9th inning, and obviously they're not going to pitch to him. But instead of just intentionally walking him, they pitch around him, and the first pitch or the second pitch goes right over his head. And Trout is pretty annoyed with that. After the game, he was as upset and angry as I've ever seen him in 10 years of covering him. So if you're the Angels and you see Mike Trout is that upset, you have to do something about it, basically. So I think what happened on Sunday is they used an opener for the game, and he came out there and he threw a pitch to Julio Rodriguez kind of right behind his head. And then in the second inning, he threw one to Jesse Winker, hit him right in the hip. And pretty much that was that. It was on. And, I don't think that Trout thought the Mariners were throwing at him intentionally, but he certainly thought that if they were just pitching around him, that they should have done it in a safer way, or else just put up four fingers and let him go to first. And he was mad about it. And, I think the Angels, definitely the way they're going, they needed some kind of a spark. And certainly this was a perfect opportunity to do something that was going to get people fired up. And I think it was extremely predictable, which is another reason I think you can kind of blame the umpires for this, because I talked to the umpires after the game, and I said, well, were warnings issued before the game based on what happened Saturday night? And they go, oh, no, we didn't think that was enough to warrant warnings. Well, all of us in the press box knew there was going to be a fight. So for the umpires to say that they didn't think there was enough to have warnings, I think is something's missing there. And if they would have just said, like, before the game, all right, anybody throws at anybody, they're getting kicked out. And when Wentz throws the first pitch behind Julio Rodriguez, he kicks him out right there, it's probably over. So that's what happened.
Do you like that baseball polices itself?
I mean, it's kind of silly, but it's what we have. It's what the players expect, and I think for the most part, people don't get hurt. I mean, it is kind of silly when you try to think about it, try to explain it to somebody who's not a baseball fan. They just go, why are they, it's not his fault that he hit a lot of homers against them. So why would you be mad at him? And
I know
it's kind of dumb.
I never understood that. I've called out pitchers. I say it's cowardly, especially in the American League when they didn't have to come to the plate. That you want to hurt me because I hurt you in a way that it was within the rules. And I just or the guy after the guy who homers.
That's even dumber when you throw at the next guy.
I know. I always feel bad for that guy. You bat behind somebody who's like Aaron Judge, and then you're like, oh, damn, he just homered. Now I'm going to get, somebody going to buzz the tower here. But and then you see, by the time the bullpen gets in, like it feels like everything's done, and then the bullpen comes in. Well, then they have to play a role here as well. What kind of suspensions are we looking at?
I mean, that's a great question. I think that there's certainly some of the main guys are probably going to get, 5-10 games, just off the top of my head, maybe more. There were some pretty big punches thrown. I've seen a lot of these baseball fights, and I haven't seen punches to this degree in too many of them. And Jesse Winker also flipped off the crowd like multiple times with both hands, walking out off the field. So I'm sure that's going to earn him a little extra change paying to Major League Baseball. So, and the managers obviously are both going to get suspended. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Jeff, good luck with the book, and thanks for joining us. We appreciate your time.
All right, thanks for having me.
That's Jeff Fletcher. He is the Angels beat writer for the Orange County Register, and his new book, Showtime, Inside Story of Shohei Ohtani, greatest baseball season ever played, on bookshelves starting July 12th.